One of them says, I spent years focused on achieving and not on my spouse. I took them for granted, assuming that they would always be there, like a doll or a thing that I could gain and set aside to protect. I did not realize how much I ignored them and how all I focused on was my goals. Our relationship degraded until it came crashing down. I realized quickly that I was failing and they were not perfect either, but I was not loving them well.
Hi, welcome to another episode of Dear Dilemma. Today's episode, we have a topic that can be pretty much good for our viewers, I would say.
I think it's right on target with probably a lot of our relationship type stuff.
I agree. Hannah, what's our topic today?
Brooke doesn't know.
I forget.
I'm just kidding.
She just told me 2 seconds ago.
Well, so a while back, I made a video on our TikTok and our Instagram about asking people their biggest relationship mistakes that they made in their 20s and what they learned from it. And I was kind of excited to do a little episode about this because I feel like especially for our younger viewers, or maybe even some of those of you that are more closer to our age, I think that you learn a lot in your 20s from relationships, and whether it be maybe you're still trying to figure it out, or you're just wondering what to do, maybe this will help you. So
yeah, I agree. Now I remember what the topic is. I forgot.
We have a lot of topics sometimes,
these days.
So, biggest relationships you made in your 20s, or biggest relationship mistakes that you made in your 20s, and what did you learn from them? Okay. So a couple of comments that we got from our YouTube viewers, I'm going to read a couple of these. So one of them says, I spent years focused on achieving and not on my spouse. I took them for granted, assuming that they would always be there, like a doll or a thing that I could gain and set aside to protect. I did not realize how much I ignored them and how all I focused on was my goals. Our relationship degraded until it came crashing down. I realized quickly that I was failing and they were not perfect either, but I was not loving them well. So why would they change if I'm not willing to give attention, love, patience, kindness, etc. in the first place? Remember, because I'm focused on my goals, selfish me. I'm happy to say that I've changed, and I'm very much still a work in progress. My spouse has told me she sees how I've changed and our relationship is much better. Love is worth fighting for. Sometimes the fight is inside yourself.
You know what I really like about that one is that they took accountability for what they did wrong.
Yeah.
Instead of saying, well, it wasn't my fault, and that they should have realized that I was trying to achieve these goals in my career life or whatever it may be, that they took accountability to realize, like, I didn't do X, Y, and Z, and that is what, and ultimately was the relationship issues that caused things. So,
and that could have very easily ended in divorce. Like, I mean, not if he wouldn't have stepped up and taken accountability, like you said, and really tried to work on repairing that relationship and realizing that he was being selfish, I think it could have gone a lot different.
Divorce, cheating, nowadays murder. Hit me. Like, you
been a lot of ways. Could have got real dark real fast.
Yeah. But I'm glad that they fixed it and worked it out.
Yes, I am too. I think that's really cool. I thought that was a good story.
That was a good one.
This is another comment. I was really too busy with education, career, and family. I didn't take the time to process things for myself, and I didn't establish clear boundaries. Too much people-pleasing depleted me.
Yeah.
I think that's really fair, too, especially in your 20s, because you care so much about what people think.
That, and it's hard to say no sometimes when you want to say no and you need to say no, or you feel like you need to say no and then back it up with a reason, and you don't. I heard this, that someone said no is a full sentence. Like no. That. So if you don't want to do something, just say no. You don't need to give a reason why. So anybody in their 20s or whatever age, if you are a people pleaser, like, you don't have to be. Like, no one is rewarding you. And in fact, some people are taking more advantage of you than anything because they know you're not going to say no. Surprise them. Yeah. Say it. I agree.
I think that's good. Those are the only big comments that we had that I thought was really good. But I wanted to ask you, Brooke, like, what are your biggest relationship mistakes? Like, looking back now and going, man, I'm really glad I didn't end up with that person. Like, I learned so much from that experience, and now, like, you found something that's so much better.
I think really more so like in college, having situationships, or like you thought that you were kind of like in the talking stage, and then when in reality you realize like no, they were just using you, or you were just like that person that they could call and to hang out, and you would jump right and do it. So that I think was a red flag that I should have probably paid attention to, that I didn't.
The amount of red flags in our 20s.
When I'm sitting sometimes in bed reading at 8 p.m., I think to myself, I should have been doing this in college. Why was I trying to go to all the parties? I should have just been minding my business. And then people would be like, who's that mystery girl? She's so cool. And it's just me reading Harry Potter. Instead of like trying to, get into this situation or that situation. So I definitely think I learned that. Like, you don't always need someone. But I also think had I not gotten out of like my last serious relationship from high school into college, I wouldn't have found myself. So I wouldn't have experienced. I'm thankful for the things I experienced, whether good or bad. Just because I know that had I not, I would have never like got to do things that I got to do.
Yeah.
Like, because I just would have probably been a housewife. Not that that's bad.
Right. But you didn't get to actually, like,
I want to enjoy my 20s.
Things and know, like, who you are and what you want.
I got to go on so many adventures with friends. Like, there's so many times where I always tell people I should be dead in a ditch somewhere because of things I gotten myself into. And those are, like, don't do these, but those are the stories now to tell. That's, like, this happened. So I think red flag, don't, if there is a guy or girl in your life that is just basically using you only when they want, and then you go to a party and they're ignoring you or whatever it may be, or they're not, don't, just trust me, you'll find somebody else that will actually want your attention.
Yeah. I think.
What about you?
Well, I was going to say you actually kind of took some of mine because I think that
people say we are sisters or twins, so.
We are. I do think that I was really quick to like settle because I thought that I needed.
Because you've been engaged a couple times.
Well, I was engaged a couple times. You're right.
You can edit that out if you don't want me to say that.
No, it's okay. I mean, it's part of my life. It is what it is. Like I don't regret any of it because it led me to where I am now and the husband that I have. So I wouldn't take any of that back. But I did learn a lot. Like, my first engagement when I was, like, 18, I think I was just so head over heels in love and, like, didn't realize what life was or what I wanted or didn't understand myself. And then I kind of, like, grew into myself a little bit more in my 20s and realized, this isn't good. Like, this is toxic.
Yeah.
And then
I think the veil gets covered so much that you don't see the toxicness until you're away from it, and you're like,
well, yeah. And I think when you're in high school, like you live in the kind of a bubble. Like when you're on your own and you start like paying your own bills, or you start like your career path and you live on your own, and I don't know, like it's just something in your life kind of changes a little bit, and you realize that there's so much more to my world. Like I moved away from home. I'm not just in this tiny little town, or I'm not just in this tiny little high school. Like I think just things change. But then I think I was afraid to be alone because I didn't know who I was and I didn't know what I wanted. And I learned, probably looking back at my 20s, I should have started therapy sooner.
Never gone to therapy, but I definitely could use it.
I think everybody could benefit from it.
Oh, yeah.
And I didn't actually go to therapy until after my second engagement failed. And I was like, you know what? I think the common theme is me. I think I need therapy.
The denominator problem might be you.
Yeah, so I went to therapy and realized that I had some unresolved issues from like my parents' divorce and just different things that I had to work through and understand about myself. And I was seeking
why you won't go to therapy?
What?
You'll open up the book and be like, you are all of this.
Yeah.
I won't go.
Well, and it's like a lot of soul searching, and it's a lot of trying to figure out, who you are as a person. What do you want? What kind of love do you think you deserve? So for a long time, I had a lot of insecurities. And I think that I accepted love that I thought was okay and realized later on, this is like, I'm worth so much more.
Yeah.
And ultimately, that's what led me to move on from my second fiance as well, because I was like, this is not the life I want. I'm settling. Yeah. I'm not happy. This isn't who I
don't settle
want to be with, and I don't like who I am with this person.
Because then you start changing.
Yeah, I mean, I think that I just think I wanted somebody to build a life with because I was lonely and I was sad. And I think...
Man, I wish we would have been friends in college.
I know. We would have been
lonely
and
sad. Me. You would have been like in the ditch with me.
And I got to travel and do a lot of things with friends and stuff, but I kind of like wish I would have done that sooner. I think I was just so like worried about like finding the one instead of just like enjoying myself.
I think, and maybe I'm wrong, but I think so many girls in high school or 18 plan their life like I should be married. I'm going to be married at this age, and I'm going to have kids by 25.
Yeah.
And I did the same thing. I was like, I'm going to be married by 25, and I'm going to have a kid. Y'all, I'm 32, and I'm still not married, and I still don't have kids. I am engaged. We have made it one step
closer.
One step. But that was what I thought. And then when I hit that age at 25, I think that's when Zach and I were together. But like prior up to that, I'm like, I would stop and think, oh my gosh, there's no way I would want to be married right now. There's no way I would want to have a kid. Not saying kids stop your life, but they do. It's a big, huge responsibility.
Yeah.
There's like people I wouldn't have met. There's places I wouldn't have gone. I would have been stuck. So like, to me, I just look back, I'm like, what? And now I'm 32. And I still don't have kids, and, you know, my family's like, time's ticking. But guess what, guys? It's a whole, like, you can freeze your eggs. You can have a kid, like, at 40. Like, yeah, you might be 80 after graduation, but it's fine.
Yeah.
Yeah. So don't try to rush your life because of trying to find, like, that's a big mistake, I think, too.
Yeah, I think you get so wrapped up in, like, what you think should happen for your life that you're not seeing the red flags around you. Like, I was so blinded by so many red flags that were just, like, waving right in front of my eyes. And I was just
like, no, this is normal.
It's fine.
I don't think that's red. I think it's green.
Yeah, it's totally okay that you're off talking to a waitress in front of me. It's fine. Like, I don't know. I just put up with so much crap because I think I just didn't realize my self-worth, and I didn't realize, like, how important certain things were in my life that I wanted to be. And I just think that's some of the biggest mistakes that you can look back on, and it is like our first commenter was saying, like, he was selfish, focused on his career, all that.
Yeah.
I think like your 20s are kind of a time to be selfish and focus on your career. But like him, if you were married young, it sounds like maybe he was married young, then you do have to prioritize your spouse at that point, because you've already made that commitment and you have to move forward as a team. But if you're single or you're not tied down, I think that's the time that you travel, you get to know yourself, you focus on your career. And I think some of us looking back are like, oh my gosh, we were too focused on our career. So not having complete blinders, but like you can be a little bit selfish, but also understand and learn about yourself and what you need.
Yeah.
You know, in a relationship, I guess.
I agree. I just finished this book called The Midnight Library.
I actually have that on my bookshelf. I haven't read it yet.
Oh, it's good. You should read it. But I'm going to tell you what it's about. So don't read it because I'll just tell you.
That's okay.
So it's about this girl who doesn't want to live anymore because her life, like, she just lost her job. She had all these goals and dreams, and she walked away from her she walked away from her wedding 2 days prior, and then her life became in shambles. So she wanted to die and tried to kill herself. Well, in that in between life, she goes to the library, and the library is nothing but books, but they're different paths of where, like, different lives that she could be living. And so she thought to herself, well, I wanted to be with him and I left him, let me go to that life. And then she realized she wasn't happy. And then he popped up in another life, and she still realized, like, that's not who I wanted. And so the whole book basically is she's traveling into different lives. Basically, they're trying to say that there's a linear of we're here, but, like, there's another life of us going on. There's another string somewhere that we are doing something else.
Like a glitch in the Matrix.
Yeah, like I could be on TV right now famous, or like a singer, or, you know, whatever. Yeah. And anyway, she goes on to find out that it's not about who you're with. It's about finding, like, basically what's true to you and makes you happy as a person.
Yeah.
And I thought it was I finished it in a couple of days. I thought it was a really interesting book.
I think that's really cool.
And I'm mad that, like, I may not be out there somewhere famous and rich right now, but it's fine.
But, you know, I think it's so cool because it's like that is something that you have to really align yourself with what your values are and what you truly want and who you feel the most at home with.
Yeah.
Like, I think I realized now, being with my husband, I've realized I am the most myself that I've ever been, and he helps support me in like things that I lack in. And nobody else has complimented me in that way where I've just really felt at home and just myself.
I get that because like with Zach, I can be myself and funny and goofy and silly and like dumb, and he's doesn't do it in front of other people, but like for me he does. Like
he's just himself.
He texted me. I was in line to get this food truck that comes around once in a while. It was a long line, and he was texting me and he said something like I'm ready, or it was something. It was a SpongeBob line. He was like in my SpongeBob voice, but like people don't see that side of him like I do. But I know that had I ended up with someone like I was talking to in college or whatever, I was never able to be like my goofy self with them because I was trying to be too cool or too promiscuous or too like mysterious or whatever it may be. So to end up with somebody that you can be yourself with is like, it's definitely
the ultimate
key.
goal.
That is a green flag, everybody, not a red flag. So, but yeah.
So overall, I guess in summary,
pay attention to those red flags.
Yes.
Don't settle. Obviously, don't settle. Don't become somebody that you're not. Be true to yourself. And if you're in your 20s, don't rush it. Enjoy life. If you're single and other friends are like young, getting married, that's okay. That's not always your path. Don't feel left out. If you know, it'll get there. You'll get there eventually. And just have fun. Yeah.
And get to know yourself. And honestly, I always encourage therapy. I think therapy really, really helped me, and it opened my eyes to a lot of things I didn't even realize I was kind of projecting onto my own relationships from just unresolved issues that I had from like watching my parents and different things. Like you don't even really realize it, I think.
Yeah, that helps too. So we hope this helps with your situation that you may be going through, and help you if you're in your 20s or in your 30s or 40s. It doesn't matter. Things, you never know when red flags can come.
Advice is advice, right?
Exactly. But anyways, stay tuned for next week when we'll have another submission.
And don't forget to like, comment, subscribe on our social platforms, TikTok, YouTube, and Instagram.
At Dear Dilemma Official. We'll see you next week.